What up, everybody? I am waiting for my guests to join me live here on the show. And, it's just a pre show, hanging out with you guys, drinking my coffee, because I'm getting old, turning into an old man already. Turning into an old man. Who'd ever thought, man? It's wild. It's wild times. What's up, everybody? Turning into an old man. Who'd ever thought? Oh, guys. What's up? Welcome. I'll be joined by my guest momentarily. We're going to be talking to DJ X from Chicago, world famous DJ X. He is a producer and DJ, world renowned, Sirius XM, globalization. I mean, I could go all on talking about we'll talk more about his resume shortly when I get him live here on the show to actually talk to you guys. And I haven't done a podcast like this in a while. Usually I do these podcasts to where my goal is just to expose some new artists and music. It is on the audio versions of these are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and all that good stuff. So when this is done, it'll be up on there. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the new season, trying to get some more artists on the show. Check out my previous interviews. I interviewed DJ Casper from New Jersey, from New York. We also had Charlie Cruz. I had Charlie Cruz on the phone. I had Jay Copa, de Puerto Rico, on the phone as well. We talked to Pills from Latin Mix. I talked to my friend Rico Sanchez. A couple local artists here in Tampa, Florida. We talked to 305 Flip. We talked to Kana One. And I invite you guys to go check out those interviews. They are on my Facebook page. So go check them out if you get a chance. And hopefully you guys enjoy all these interviews and stuff like that. Also, they're on the La Mezcla Music app. So go to La Mezcla Music app and, tune in. Check out all the mixes and all the DJs that we mix in there live. And check out our podcast as well. La Mezcla Podcast and Salon, Speedy Jr. podcasts are part of that as well. I have my own podcast feed. For some reason, Spotify doesn't want to add me. I guess because my feed used to have mixes before, so I think I got a life ban from Spotify. So it's the price to pay, man. It's the price to pay to try and make it. You know what I mean? Hope everyone's doing good. Feel free to comment, ask me any questions for my guest joins me live here on the show. We can talk about anything you want. Anything. What's going on, folks? Talk to me. Tell me what's going on. Hope everyone's doing well. Got some parties coming up. Excited, man. Exciting times. Let's see. I'm ready. Go ahead.
Let me know if you can see me okay. Here we go.
I can see and hear you okay. How you doing, sir?
Perfect. Very good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Um, I was out. I've been live for a little while, so
Oh, nice.
just doing a little, like pre-show.
So cool.
So I'm gonna go into my start, so I know when to edit this for the audio part. Okay.
Dale.
All right, man. So if you're comfortable, man, we'll get started, brother.
Yeah, man.
All
Let's
right,
do
cool.
it.
All right, man. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Salon Lounge podcast. I am your host, Alice, and I'm accompanied by today my very good friend from Chicago. He is a producer, DJ with decades of experience in the Chicago area. Producer for remixes like for Mi Gente J Balvin. He did an official remix for that. He did a remix for Despacito, Luis Fonsi. That was very popular in the nightclubs and with the DJs. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ X.
What up, man? Thanks for having me.
Brother, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on the show, man. I've been wanting to get you on, and I try and talk to DJs that I look up to and inspire me, because I enjoy your work ethic and all the things that you've been working on, man, and you're doing your thing. To start off, for anyone who really doesn't know the story of DJ X, why don't you start from the beginning without taking it too far back in the time.
In the time. Yeah, well, basically, I started about 20 years ago
Okay.
in Chicago. And, we started like every other DJ. But I started late. I was 17 when I started.
Okay.
So, I wasn't necessarily like everyone else was like, I was 13. And like, it just seemed
Uh-huh.
like every DJ started at 13. But,
Yeah.
and they all had like, the same setup. Which
So what were you doing? Wait, before you keep, what were you doing around 13 then?
So
13,
around
15?
13, I was playing baseball,
Okay.
heavy baseball, because I wanted to be an MLB player.
Yeah.
I was heavy into baseball. I've always been around music, so like my mom's a singer, and like I've always been like I was that kid at like family parties who'd go up to the band and see if I could play the drums with them, and so when I was 17, I was in a boy band because those were hot back then, like the NSYNC
Mm-hmm.
and the Backstreet Boys, LFO, all that stuff was hot, and I was in a boy band that kind of went nowhere, but we were
Wow.
signed. We
Wait,
get
so singing and making music, you already you're getting
Yeah.
an experience of it, being
Yeah,
in the
like
studio and
whenever I was like in high school, like all through high school, I make a fool of myself and be in every talent show and do all that. But yeah, music was always there, and I joined a band. The band didn't work out, and so because the band didn't work out, with the little money that I had saved, I kind of just started DJing because I thought it was and I got into it because I thought it was an easy way to make money, because I saw so many people doing it.
Hmm.
And then I just kind of like, as soon as I got in, I got like a reality check. Like, no, man, this isn't just getting in and playing records. Like, you have to know
Right.
records, you have to know decades, you have to know crowds, you have to read people. So I just kind of dove in head first, man, and just learned every single thing I could possibly learn about DJing. I mean, I played bars, I've played everything, man. I've played weddings, I've played underground house parties, I've done all of it. Only thing I haven't done is a funeral yet. Let's hope.
Let's hope you don't have to do that.
But I've done weddings and divorce parties for the same couple, and then weddings again for the same couple, but in different weddings.
Nice.
So yeah, man. So I've done that. I've done just all kinds of gigs, and then eventually, in my career, I got into radio.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. I see that you worked in the Chicago local radio scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I
You
was.
did a Latino mix
Yes.
and all that good stuff. So let's talk about that. How was that experience? A lot of
Yeah,
a lot of
so-
DJs don't get to have that experience of working on
Yeah,
commercial
so
radio.
I mean, there was a point in my career where I just thought, like, man, like there's got to be another way to get myself out there to the next level, and radio was definitely it. And it's funny because I was looking to get in, so I would message people and I would left and right just kind of see who was doing what, but it never quite worked out. And then there was a baseball player here in Chicago who had a party.
DJs don't get to have that.
What's his name? Jose Abreu from the White Sox, and he had a recognition party, and they gave him a couple of awards, and Hennessy was the sponsor. And anyway, they needed a Latin DJ. I show up, I do the job. Then there was a guy who was running the mix show there, and then he asked me to get on there. And then I was there for about a year, close to about a year. And then from then on, I kind of like stepped off into Pitbull's Globalization.
Right.
And then that was probably the biggest radio station I've been on. That was on Sirius XM. And same thing, man. I just thought, like, from here on up, I got to make the jump to something a little bit bigger in the markets. By that time, I was already producing. But I always saw radio as a great stepping stone to get my music out there, my edits, my remixes, all that stuff. So, but it was fun, man. It's very fun. Being on the radio, as you know, is kind of a challenge.
Right.
It's very dope. It's very fun. It's kind of one of those things that you don't know if you're prepared for it until you get there. But
so I like a lot of a lot of people have the misconception that they can just play whatever they want when they get that radio gig.
Like when you playlist it, you really got to get creative.
Yeah.
And then that's another thing. Like, not only do you have to get creative, you have to cut like a path for your own style. And like, especially right now, like I feel like it's hard to cut through, but it's also very easy to cut through if you just don't do what everybody else is doing.
Right. So let's talk about that, because you found your own niche. You entered a little into the EDM world, the Moombaton world.
Yeah.
I mean, man. So tell me that entering that genre, a genre that's not really, mainstream.
Right.
I mean, what was the motivation behind that? Was it something you just like those rhythms?
Well, it's kind of a long story short. So I always wanted to be like a mainstream DJ, right? So play hip hop, house, open format.
Right.
And I did do that for a while. I was in some of Chicago's hottest clubs at the time. And but I always I'm Mexican, so
yeah.
And I'm 100% Mexican, so I speak Spanish fluent, just like I speak English. Yeah, órale y chingón y todo el pedo, So I never did the Latin side of things because I just felt like I wouldn't necessarily fit, because I always wanted to like throw curveballs. But then there was a venue where I had 10 years at. It was Nacional 27. It was here in Chicago, and they offered me a residency, but they offered me like a contract as well to become exclusive. When I went in there, the guy that was playing there was the first person that introduced me to like Moombaton in a sense. And I mean, as soon as I heard it, I was like, yo, this is the future of Latin pop.
Yeah.
Like I saw that, because it's funny, because as I saw that, I was like, I got to learn this sound. I got to learn like how to do it. So I went looking for Dave Nara. Dylan Francis at the time was doing some stuff. Happy Colors was doing some stuff.
Happy Colors is great, man. He's wild and crazy.
Yeah. So like one of my great friends, Toms, like he did a track with him called La Era del Moombaton. And then I worked with Toms, and so that's when we did the Despacito remix. So I had been playing Moombaton, and there wasn't a huge selection of Moombaton, and it was a lot more hardcore, I would say, than it is now.
Right.
Like real heavy EDM.
Right. It's definitely underground, and you got to know,
Yeah, and so like obviously they commercialized it with Major Lazer, but I remember Ape Drums did the original. What is the name of that? Oh my God, I'm blanking out right now.
Yeah, it's okay.
The original, Watch Out for This.
Yeah, Watch Out for This. Yep.
Yeah, and it was like something rhythm. It was like dance hall rhythm. I think he named it. I don't know. It was like a bootleg file I got. and I was like, man, Ape Drums made this, and this is crazy, and that's where the boom came from, I think, and I was just like, man, like this is crazy, I want to make that sound. I still haven't perfected that sound, but I've gotten pretty close to making sure that we get the the right kicks and subs in the right places. But Moonbaton is kind of like I said, I saw it as a future, and it sure enough turned out to be the sound at like 105. You know what I mean? Like right now, like the Black Eyed Peas definitely hit that genre.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to the pop and the crossover stuff, and I mean, playing skills. I mean, the Moonbaton sound is prevalent, even though they're not stamping it with that name. You know, it's
I mean, like I think their first major breakthrough that I heard in that style was the one with Daddy Yankee. I can't think of the name right now. Why am I blanking out?
There was Viven. I think he made a track like that. Viven.
There was that, and then there was another one that todo el mundo se puede enamorar. It was like the oh my god, the Tanto Metro sample.
Yeah. I know exactly what it did. That was a Playing Skills track.
Yeah, so like they did that. I think that was the first time like the mainstream world heard like a synth that was screamish and like lead EDM type-ish on the Latin side, and they were like, not bad, you know. And then obviously like we remixed Despacito, Toms and I, but at the club I was at, we were under the wave, if that makes sense.
Right.
By the time Despacito kind of broke it all open, like we were already
burning it.
We were already riding the wave, and then obviously Mi Gente came in. So many things came after.
So now that you brought that up, there's a lot of producers out there, and they're trying to do their thing, and just without giving them the secret sauce, of course, because there's some trade secrets that it's just it's got to be kept close to the chest. That's the name of the game.
So?
Yeah, sometimes, but but we do podcasts like this, and your opportunity to share, just your experience with actually like, it's a signed deal that you did, right, for the Mi Gente remix. Right?
Yeah, so there's it's like a funny story. I don't think I ever told that story, but
because I want you to share it, because I mean it's a somebody's dream to have,
I mean,
an official remix of an artist on Spotify, and it's legit,
because, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, it's funny because I've been remixing since 2013, and so I got in, and it was like it was once again, like head first, and had to find out like acapellas weren't given to you, stems weren't given to you, so you have to go look and find them. Right. I think doing the homework on how to do that stuff is major. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, right now I have over 62 remixes that I've done, and I've only signed 2. No, I've only signed 3 remixes. During the pandemic, I've signed another 4, but they're not out yet.
Well, that's good. So I mean, it's eventually, it's work that's coming.
Yeah. So there's 7 that have been. But my point is, like, it took a lot of trial and error to finally get them signed. It takes a lot of networking to get them signed, but like more than anything else, to get a remix signed, it takes a lot of hard work, man. Like a lot of dedication and hard work in the studio. And not all of them are going to be hits, and not all of them are going to be great. And you just got to look at your market. I had a remix back in 2000 and I want to say 15. This is before I went to the Latin side.
Right.
And it was a Selena Gomez remix of "Good for You." That was the name of the song.
Okay.
That was number 1 on the Pool track trends from Promo Only, which kind of like tracks a lot of radio DJs. It was number 1 for a long time, and it was the first remix I had ever had on radio stations. First, I heard it in Chicago on one of our biggest stations that is a B96, and then I was in the car with my mother-in-law, and then I heard it on Sirius XM. This is before I was even on.
Oh man, awesome! That's great.
Yeah. So this is before I was even on as a mix show DJ, and and until then I sent it to her people, and her people were like, this is great, but like we can't, like we're not looking for remixes. So there was a lot of no's until Despacito came. And then I uploaded to SoundCloud because I'm like, who cares, right? Like no one's
Right.
they're not gonna sign it. It's the hottest song. So funny thing is
That's interesting that you did it like that. You
it
figured
goes, right. So it goes up on SoundCloud,
hmm
and then like I get a message from a dude who's like, yo, I work for Universal and I'm on the team of God knows what. How did you get that a cappella? And I said, I didn't get the a cappella. Like this was years and years of stealing a cappellas
hmm
that I was
you
able.
extracted it with in the studio.
Dude, it took me like 2 days to extract that a cappella.
Oh wow.
And it's funny because then like later in the summer I had a gig where Playing Skills were, and they were like, yo, you have that vocal? And I was like, no, I don't have that vocal.
Should have charged them. Get $100, bro.
No. And it was
Took me
funny.
2
Like they
days.
probably don't even remember that now. But we were talking about it for a second. And so then Toms, who's from Colombia, from Bogota, he happened to know a guy that worked for After Club, which was Universal at the time. And so that guy, we send him the remix, and he's like, guys, this is great. This is fire. We're going to put it out. We're going to sign it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh.
So then he's like, but there's a remix. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that was like on a Wednesday. And I believe Justin Bieber did the remix on that Wednesday night. By Thursday morning, we had the a cappella, like the
official,
like the master, right? And I couldn't even work on the track that night. I couldn't even grab the old a cappella and put the new one in because I was so like nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Because dude, like I don't get a cappellas. That was at the time I was like, I don't get official a cappellas. But this is the a cappella of the #1 song in the world. Like right now, there was nothing else. So I flipped it after, I calmed down. I sent it to my guy. We send it in. Next thing you know, every day at 5 o'clock in 2017 for the summer mix on B96, DJ Flipside, I got to shout him out. Every day he would open with our Despacito remix, which was insane. And then from that came Mi Gente. And then we were kind of in line with like Steve Aoki. I believe it was not Gregor Salto. Yeah, it might have been Gregor Salto. And there was
we're talking big name. Like is it like like a dream that you woke up from? And you're just like you're in this list of A-list remixers that you get contacted
like
for
rehab and these people that are like, you're like, oh man, I'm not gonna get picked. Like there's like, why would they pick me out of all these people, right?
Uh-huh.
So we signed all the stuff. It became official. It was out in some countries. Some countries it wasn't out. I guess they had issues with certain things. But unfortunately, the Despacito one never went through. It is official, but it like never got finalized, if that makes any sense. But I mean, I had like 500,000 plays in like 6 days, which was like overwhelming. I didn't know what to do with that at the time. But with the amount of time, you learn and you start to kind of get the sauce is like the hard work, like I said, and you start to understand how it all works and, how to approach labels, approach deals and certain things. And then, you just move forward. But then from then on, I just kind of kept remixing any tracks that I thought would be hot or that I thought would be beneficial. And then I started writing my own stuff right after that because I think it's time to like send my own stuff out while we have this little traction of Mi Gente and Despacito.
Right.
And it was great. And then after that, like I said, I just started doing my own stuff. But I think if anyone wants to get into remixing, one of the first things is do your homework and don't expect labels to want your stuff, or don't expect anyone to just give you their stuff. Even if it's a local artist that you're going to remix, don't just be like, send me the stems, because they put a lot of work into their stuff and they may not appreciate just someone reaching out and saying, give me your stuff.
Right.
And without like a work ethic, you got to build at least like
some kind of rapport, some kind of relationship, right? Yeah.
Or like a good relationship, or like like a proposal. Like come at them and say, listen, man, I've done these 5 remixes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know what you think, and let me know if you'd be interested in working with me. I think collaborations are very good at the time, especially right now. I think collaborations make a lot of producers better because you learn from the other side all the time, So,
Right.
but at the end of the day, like the remix game is who can bang out the most and who's the most efficient. That's how the remix game works. I moved away from it for a while because I didn't. There was a cap. There was like a glass ceiling with the remixes, and I just didn't see a lot of future in it. Now, however, we're in a completely different world because they need streams. So now they're going to need remixes, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, where I'm back in that realm. But now things are different because now I don't start a remix until I get full stems. I get a cappella stems, like the works. So I get to make a professional sounding remix right off the bat.
So hold on. I'm getting an echo. Let's see here.
We got is that Rican?
Yeah, shouts out to Rican. He says what's up. I guess he's going in and out between classes, checking us out.
Nice, that's my guy. He's awesome.
Let me check on my settings here before we continue. So yeah, man, he's a great guy. He's one of our DJs on lamezcla.com, and we're live actually on their page as well right now. So shouts out to everyone who's like La Mezcla.
I do their drops. I did their last set of drops.
Oh yeah, you did the Tumba La Casa stuff.
Yeah, so I'm like this Tumba La Casa.
So that was you. I was playing Tumba La Casa. Tumba La Casa.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. I love that that remix, the Despacito remix. I played the crap out of it here in Tampa.
I remember, man, because it's funny. You're in Tampa, right?
Yep, Florida. Yep.
So every Friday and Saturday, I would I'd get ready for my gigs, and I think you were on Maxima.
Yes.
And I would throw it on my app. It was like the lamusica.com or something like that. And I remember, yes, Rican just mentioned Boogie. I did his intro as well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, if you're looking for drops, hit me up.
There you go. Hit up DJ X.
Way to plug myself, right?
That's right.
So yeah, I used to go to the club, but I used to get in the shower, and I right when your set would kick off.
Okay.
And I would listen to your sets, and I was like, man, like I really enjoy and I think I messaged you,
Thank
I was like, man, I really enjoy your mixes. They're like,
thank you.
Because they were fresh, they were like really, really fresh. I like the salsa stuff you used to do.
Thank you, man.
Because it wasn't just the mainstream stuff. There was like some others. Like I could appreciate that.
All right.
It was dope, man. It was really, really dope. Like I really, really liked it. And I remember I was like, oh man, I would hear like Tech One stuff that I would, because I would be his ear.
Tech One's great, man. He's a great remixer, man.
Yeah, he would be my ear. I would be his ear, and we would be like, yo, like I just heard your stuff.
Yeah, man.
Like, I know your stuff gets played everywhere. I'm like, but I just heard it like on the radio, like in this station in Tampa, and then you would play Cubaton.
A little bit.
And not a lot of people played it on the East Coast,
right?
Like, well, up north, and obviously in the West Coast, nobody played it. So I would listen to it, and I was like, I gotta get up on that's where I got up on Yo Mili El Dani, and Los Cuatro, and Chocolate, and all that.
You gotta have that. You gotta have that in Florida, brother. Yeah.
When I played in Miami, they were like, Mexican guy, like not gonna
like it.
And then I showed up, and I was ready.
You were ready.
And I was like, boom! I think La Gozadera at the time was barely popping off. And this is when I had started my residency at the spot I was at. But man, I came with the Cubaton, and a big part of that was your sets. I was like, yo, this is hot. This is good. We're gonna work with this.
Yeah.
And I made it happen.
Now I try not to put my mixes everywhere else, so I try not to play as much Cubaton.
I mean. It's a genre that a lot of people don't get it, but when I used to play Cubaton at my spot, I used to start off with this one song. I would cut everything down and start off with this one song called Habanero.
Oh yeah, I love that song. That's the Gente de Zona.
Yeah, so
I enjoy that song.
there was a bunch of ball players there all the time.
Oh man, you
And
hit
they
it.
were all
You hit a
on.
grand slam, bro. You hit a grand
That was
slam.
it, dude. It's funny because, and I have to tell this story because, like, I've never told anybody, but like one time, this guy Joan Moncada, who's a Cuban ball player, he's from the White Sox, came into my to my club, right, to the club I was at. Now, I mean, I say my club because I was the resident. I directed music, I did everything. He showed up and I was playing, and people were digging it, and he was like, "Play some Cubatón, pon música de Cuba." And I was like, bro, this is my stadium. And I pitch, I catch, I throw, I do everything here. I said, you just sit down and let me do the thing. And because I was a little buzzed at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling the night. He sits down like disappointed. I play Habanero. He gets up immediately, dude. And he's like, done deal. He's like, you got it, dude. He's like, from here on. And then from then on, I just played more and more and more stuff. And then he introduced me to some other artists. And then when he would come back, like, I play a set for him. But it's such an underrated genre.
It is.
I mean, but it's so good. It's so good. Like, to me, like, I could listen to that all day, Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with the set here and there. Obviously, I'm not like, I don't know, West Palm Beach, because I played West Palm Beach, and that was all like 4 hours of Cubatón.
Oh. I don't know if I can hang like that anymore. I don't know if I have all that, but it's definitely a dope genre, man. And I remember like one of the first people I heard play on the radio was you. Oh, yeah, we do play it whenever it's commercial enough. We try and get it on the air.
And it was good, man. It was like feeling good music. It's feel good music.
Yeah, absolutely. Rican says Cubatón is big in Kentucky, Louisville. Yeah. And Boogie's on. Shouts out to Boogie from Miami. He's also LaMezcla.com DJ, and he's out there and on the radio stations in Miami as well. Is it La Zeta? What is it called now? Boogie, what the hell is the station called now in Miami? I forget.
Is it La Zeta?
I think it's La Zeta. Yeah, I don't remember. But anyway, talking about radio stations, I mean, you got the chance to actually get your music on probably one of the biggest stations for us crossover Latino DJs, globalization, Pitbull's globalization.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about that experience as Sol. That's it. Sorry, Boogie. I love your station.
We had the Z, right?
Yeah, we had a Z. We were around there. We were in the ballpark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's funny about that whole journey with Pitbull stuff, and I'm rocking his hat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rocking the Dale hat.
He was a cool guy, man. He would be the kind of guy who know you. He'd always remember your face.
You know, it's funny that that when I was a kid, right? When I was like 19, 20, and I had already a couple years in the game, Pitbull would come to Chicago all the time. And he would want to, like, they would book him like every other week, But I never got to play any of their shows. Like, I never got to be part of the crew that was getting played, like playing to open for him or the after party or nothing like that. I never got to be a part of like the Pitbull gigs, if that makes any sense. And then, 10 years pass and Pitbull becomes a different guy than he was in 2005. Just completely different. And it's funny because like Maxima, Latino Mix,
right,
was ending their mix show.
Really?
Yeah, so they were like bringing it down to one mix show around the whole country. Mm-hmm. And I believe
that's interesting. And we'll get back to that because I have an interesting insight on that. Because I remember, back in the radio station business, people were like, people don't care about the mixes. They just want to hear music. You know what I mean? We're spending extra on DJs. Why are we spending extra on DJs of mix? We have computers to play music.
Yeah. So it's funny that like, and it's funny because now I'm giving you all the sauce on some things, but
it's okay.
I'm a huge believer in putting things out there, right?
Okay.
And I remember I got the call and I was super disappointed, and I told the program director at the time, I was like, "Yo, man, I was like, it's all good, man. I'm like, I'm actually pointing towards Pitbull's globalization. At the time, I had no affiliations with any of them except for my song, my remix being on there. And he goes, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, man. I said, I'm actually going to see if I can somehow get on and get on there, right? And then, like, I meet Big Syfe, who is a huge DJ. He used to be Pitbull's main DJ for a while, and he did the Back in Time, the Men in Black theme for Pit, and he's just got a you know, obviously that's his family, and so he showed up to my club in Chicago, and then we talked, and you know, we had some conversations about the station, and I was like, yo, listen, I'm gonna be straight up and honest with you, like I'm trying to get on that station, and here are my mixes, and here's my stuff. But the mixes I had given him were polished mixes. I mean, like,
computer-produced mixes.
They were, but like in Chicago, the culture of mixing is very like clean blends. It's not like New York or LA. It's like we're super clean. We do the 16 or 32 bars.
Right. He wanted to hear more turntablism.
No, not that. No, because I had scratches and everything in there, but they were edited.
Right.
You know, and he was like, cool. I'll let you know. He was like, cool, Papa, because that's how he talks. He was like, cool, Papa, I'll let you know. And then somebody from flip side, from the Jump Smokers, couldn't make the opening of Pitbull's concert here. And I got a text message out of the blue, and it was like, hey, man, would you be down to open for Pitbull on Thursday or whatever day it was? And I was like, yeah, you know, like.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome.
Like I'm in, so I go, and I'm nervous as shit, you know, and I'm backstage, and like Prince Royce passes by me and like high fives me, and he's like, "Yo, kill it out there, man," and I'm like, "What just happened?" You know, and I'd never met him before, so I was like, "This guy's super nice," and I'm chilling back there. I had met Chino before, I'd met Fuego, Farruko was there at the time as well, so I had dinner with them. And I was super nervous, but I was like trying to act like I'd been there all the time, you know. And
that's good. That's good.
Like literally, like 10 minutes before showtime, Pitt comes up to me. I'm like dusting off my my needles,
right?
And he's like, "Yo, what's up, man? Thanks for coming through." And I was like, "Oh shit," you know. And that was the first time I met him.
That's what's up, man. Like he could have just been like, wherever, screwed his, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like his security guard was like, no pictures, no talking to him, no fucking, you know, no chatty. He's like,
I mean, they pay them to do that, you know. I've met Daddy Yankee on multiple occasions in person. You know, he's a super nice guy. You know, before the blow up, before Gasolina and after Gasolina. You know, and it's all the artists from the reggaeton guys to Cyndi Lauper, you know, they paid those people to be the jerks, because unfortunately, you know, there's crazies and they have to protect themselves, you know. But
absolutely. So I was like, man, he came up to me, so we're good, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that was good. And then I'll never forget. I go up to the stage, and I'm still like putting in that one needle, and I guess I didn't have it, and they put the table that I was up on. Mind you, Prince Royce had just killed it. I wasn't on opening. I was on before Pitbull came on.
Oh wow, that's wild, bro. So you wanna you didn't open for the whole show like normally they would put somebody to just play a little bit while people were walking in, and then now Prince Royce and then Pitbull, and then show's over.
At the time, they were really pushing for Sirius XM to be like front and center, listen to my station. So I was like, I don't have an intro, but they kept talking about an intro. So they had already made an intro for the Sirius XM thing. And as I get to the stage, like, well, basically the show was Fuego, Farruko, Prince Royce, me, then Pitt. So I was like, man, these people are lit. Like, I got to go out there and fucking destroy it. You know?
Absolutely.
And as I'm cleaning my needle, because, you know, at the time I was like, I got to bring 12s because, you know, I gotta look like a real DJ, right?
Sure,
so, long story short, is they're testing out the pyros, the CO2s, right? So the table's too close. They taste the CO2, and my needle goes into the crowd, like just
Wow.
off. And as that happens, I'm looking at a timer, and it's like 39 seconds, 38 seconds, 30, and I'm like, shit. So actually, that gig, I did it on one side. Thank God for Serato and doubles.
Yeah.
I did it on one side, and I faked the other side because I was like, there's so many people recording. I'm just gonna have to fake like I'm mixing on the other side too, you know?
Right.
So I did it. I was super nervous. I don't remember my set. I do remember I kind of went through everything. I remember lighting up to like 20,000 people with Vivir Mi Vida. And
like all your tricks.
And like, yeah, and like I bust out like Volver, Volver. You know, I bust out all the Mexican stuff. I bust out Selena. At the time, Ginza was hot by J Balvin. I remember just like hitting it from the very beginning and people going nuts. So I finished.
Your Mumbaton remixes?
I did play like edits that I had, the Mumbaton remixes. I go to the back and I don't know who it was, but it was someone on Pitt's team, and they're like, yo, we're going to get in touch with you. Like killed it. All the girls that danced for him were like, you know, they were like high-fiving me. They're like super hot. And I was like, you know. And I came out of there with nothing. I came out of there just like, that was dope. Awesome. Probably one of the biggest gigs of my life. That probably was. I did it again another couple times. And I was just like, wow, dude, like that's insane. That was my first big concert. And like, I just felt like it paid off, like all those times that I didn't play for him. And then I got to play for him in my hometown, in the house of Jordan, in the United Center, where the Bulls play. Like it was just crazy. And then a month later, which is like around last weekend, Labor Day weekend, they hit me up and they're like, yo, we'd like to feature you on this station. Would you mind sending in some mixes? I'm like, cool. When do you need them by? And they're like, tonight. Like tonight. And I was like, shit. I was moving at the time, so I had no studio. So I did them in my kitchen live. I had an S9 that was gifted to me at the concert from my mother-in-law. And so I went in, I did the mixes. They were live. They weren't that great, but I had a lot of edits that I had collected over years that weren't there. And I remember there was a Mumbaton edit that was like, it was like, Yo soy Pablo Emilio Escobar. And then it would like hit. It was like a Mumbaton joint. And I remember playing that, and I remember the station director like hitting me up, and he was like, "Yo, you got to email me that track, man. Like, I need that. I need that like now."
That's the kind of shit that I like, man. I love all those crazy Mumbaton.
Yeah. And then after that, I was offered a Friday night residency, and I was on there. And then I just started traveling and remixing, and there was just so much stuff going on. I had to, say thank you and move on to the next stage in my career, which was producing more full time. But it was a great experience. I'm still on there every now and then. I'll do guest mixes.
Oh, that's dope, man. It's great.
But yeah, and then I had 401k, which is my first ever produced original that I had done with Precision from Seattle. I had that on regular rotation on Sirius XM.
Nice.
That was very nice. That felt very good.
Yeah. That's awesome, and you can always do that. So let's get into the new stuff. The what's hot in the streets right now. La Rumba, DJ X, and 4F Music. Tell me how this track came to be, and the whole guaracha. Let's talk about the whole guaracha house vibe, man. That's going on. So,
well, like I'm from Chicago, so house music.
Well, shout out to DJ LED.
Shout out to LED.
He's hanging out with us. Shouts out to him.
What up?
So yeah, man. I mean, it's interesting because people are into it here in Florida. The guaracha, and it's not just Colombians and Mexicans. It's starting to spread.
Guaracha is a baby of a genre right now. Even though it had a lot of success overnight, I think producers in the guaracha realm are playing catch up to that success.
Right.
Because they weren't ready for a follow up. They were like,
you think it's kind of like because it has the Colombian roots, right? The DJs in Colombia kind of started doing their thing, and they started calling guaracha, and then it started becoming popular in Mexico, in Mexico, and then do you think more the tribal, the 3BLL movement kind of got
definitely
involved with
inspired.
guaracha?
Yeah, it definitely inspired. Like I feel like Tribal Monterrey definitely inspired the Huaracha sound that is out. I have I have mad love for Colombia. Colombia has been like my second country home for since I can remember, because of where I used to DJ, because
Yeah.
people were so warm and nice to me. Not
You think the tribal sound was what influenced the guaracha sound in Colombia? Do you
I
think it
think
was a vice versa thing?
from what I know, so I could put it to you like this: from what I know, Huaracha in Colombia was like trap in Atlanta.
Okay, I get
So,
it.
so that music was not played
The hood
mainstream.
music, the hood music.
It was a strip club music.
Yeah, it's true. Okay.
That's what it was. So like when I started playing Huaracha stuff early, like, because I was like, yo, this is a wave, and I know this is gonna work. When I started playing stuff early, there was a lot of Colombians that were like, no, and like eso no me gusta, porque and they would use I don't know, I don't want to curse on here, but
Yeah, we were cursing all day. Fuck it.
oh, okay.
It's a podcast.
All right,
Don't worry.
so-
It's not commercial radio. It'll be good.
Oh, okay, good. So the girls would be like, esas canciones son de putería, de puteríos. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. So like, yeah, donde vas y la
Great.
And I was like, okay. But then like, obviously, Baila Conmigo blew up and everything. And then there's so many great artists and so many great talents in there. The only thing that I see from the outside looking in, and as a producer and as a remixer and as, not a seasoned vet, but like knowing the industry, is there's a lot of potential for exploiting these producers that are in there right now. And like there's tons of talent, but then again, Huaracha is one of those like genres that is like loose. It's just loose, because there's like great songs, and then there's songs that are like all over the place. They're just like they're all over the place, But like, because there's not enough, there is a lot of good product, but because there's not enough right now, you kind of like grab here. Like I've heard tracks with like acapellas off beat,
Right.
acapellas that are weird, that are like that don't make any sense, or drops that are off key. Those are things you look for. So I saw it, and I actually made a remix for a band, which we won't name, but I made a remix for a band, and they were like, "Nah, we don't like it," and it was Huaracha. And the guy who was A&Ring the remix was like, I liked it, but they don't like it. They're the boss. And I was like, no problem. Then he comes at me 2 weeks later, and that's Pills, from 4F.
Okay.
And so he's like, yo, I got an idea. How about we do a Huaracha EP? And I was like, no, yeah. So I had that idea 2 weeks ago. But they were like, no. And he was like, no. He's like, it's going hot. And I said, cool. But if we're going to do this, I said, I'd like to do it right. So I'd like to bring the house elements, the tribal house, the Latin house elements. And then when I saw what was happening, I said, I got to carve myself like my own lane in that realm. Once again, everybody's doing the same stuff. Sorry, my dog's barking.
That was mine.
He's like letting him know. But so basically we're like, cool, let's do this. So there's a Huaracha project called I Love Huaracha that's coming out under 4F Music, and there's about 6 or 7 songs right now. So La Rumba happens to be the first one. I did all the vocals and production behind it. The girl is one of my friends. Her name's Gracie. She's from Colombia, and she was perfect. She was a perfect fit. I was actually going to send it to a singer, and I needed a reference, so I asked her to do it, and then I heard it, and I was like, Gracie, you got to come to my house. I was like, you got to come, and she was amazing on it. I mean, it has that Paisa accent, and it works, and it's like, you're like, okay, whatever she says, I'll do. And so we did La Rumba. When I was doing it, I was like, they use trumpets, there's some people that use accordions, and the inspiration behind that track, it's really interesting, because I used to listen to these guys, DJ Rooster and Sammy Peralta, back in the day. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're from New York.
Yeah.
And they would make songs. I remember like this. There was this one song they made with Robbie Rivera, and it was like, "You got what I want, you got what I need." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I'm down with that. And so when I went back to the Huaracha stuff, I listened to a bunch of stuff, but I was like, man, it'd be dope to like bring that Juan Magan, Señor de la Noche feel back. And then I grabbed the mic and I was like, I'm gonna do it as a reference. And then I sent it to the guys that we work with, and they were like, nah, man, like the vocal works. Like you don't need it, like we don't need anybody. Like you can do it, And so I was like, cool. So I stayed on it. I put the girl on it, put it together. It's simple. It works for the club, for the DJs, for the live streams, for whatever. But it's not like your typical Huaracha. I kind of quantized more stuff. I did some other stuff that's more on the Latin house side. But yeah, like our goal was to come in hot, and it's picking up like a lot of steam right now on Spotify. Like on my Instagram, there's a lot of DJs that have shown a lot of love, which I appreciate. Hopefully, it shows up on Globalization or something. On regular rotation. No, for sure. Like it's been on a couple mixes already, and I'm just grateful that I get to do that. So we have more coming out. I have 2 more that are coming out soon. I wrote one, and then Tom's produced it. And then another one, it's a production it's a remix that we all did. And it's Lex Edit, Tomes, and myself.
Nice. Lex Edit does great stuff too.
Yeah, he's an amazing producer, man. So that's kind of like what we were doing with the remixes that we worked in that project. And La Rumba was like I said, La Rumba was kind of like a collection of sounds over the years and ideas. It's got the Latin, it's got the Mumba, but up, it's got kind of like my whole entire repertoire into one place. And then, obviously it has my vocals on it. And like, so far it's been a great response from the DJs. Like I've really enjoyed watching it just kind of do its thing. I could only imagine how it would have been if COVID wasn't, around, because of like performances and clubs and videos, because that's what we wanted to do, but I mean, like we're
gonna have to start all over again, January 2021. That's all.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity, because to be honest with you, like that song I should have done a year ago, because the idea was done like a year ago, and I should have like done it and then put it out while I had that club. But everything happens for a reason, and it's like I told you, it's crazy because today, actually, this morning, I get a message from DJ Rooster and Sammy Peralta, and he's like, "Yo, why isn't this song on Beatport and TrackSource?" I think he said. And I was like, "Yo, we're working on it. It takes a little bit longer." I said, "From Spotify and other places." I said, "We're working on releasing it there." And I was like, "Hey, by any chance, like, are you the DJ Rooster from like DJ Rooster and Sammy Peralta?" And he says, "Yeah, that's me." And I'm like, "Dude, like, you totally inspired that song." He's like, "No way." He's like, "Wow." He's like, "Dude," he's like, "I fucking love the song. Like, he's like, I listened to it on Spotify, but where can I get it?" So I shoot him a link right away. I'm like, "Yo, dude, download my shit,"
Yeah, absolutely. That's
and he was like, "Dude," he's like, I'm inspired to get back in the studio. He's like, and work on some shit. He's like, this definitely feels good and I like it. And I just thought, man, for someone that's worked with like Robbie Rivera, Eric Murillo, like I believe they did stuff with Gregor Salto. I mean, some huge names back in the house days, like Laid Back Luke for sure they worked with. Like, I was like, dope, like mission accomplished, and that was like full circle for me, and it was like really cool to get that from a producer that I emulated, kind of like the work, and I was like, man, this is dope, like I hit it on the nail on the flavor I wanted and how I wanted to do it. And now we're in the realm of Huaracha, and like I said, now Huaracha is it's
like uncharted territory, right?
It really is, because like you could see it. You could see it from what's happening. You could see those producers are putting in work, like great work. You could see that they have high-end cameras, and you could see that they have great ideas for videos, but you could see that it's a baby. You know what I mean? You could see that they're going to look back and be like, what were we doing 5 years ago? You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I put the Spotify link for everyone who's watching the live right now, so they can check out the track. Because if I play it here on the show, the copyright gods, God forbid, are probably gonna knock me off. So
No, you'll be good.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
tried it. Yeah, you can play it if you want. It's
All
all
right,
good.
cool.
No, man.
I'll
So
put an
yeah,
audio version.
yeah. Like I said, there's more in this project, and then there's more on my personal repertoire that I have that's coming out. I have another like Mumbaton joint that I'm doing, that I'm working with a guy from Trinidad and Tobago. His name's Brave Boy.
Nice.
We released a track called Belly Dance Gal. It's kind of like a belly dancer, kind of like a DJ Snake feel, dance hall feel. But I have other stuff coming out. I have the remixes to that track, and then I have like some bootlegs and stuff on the Huaracha side that we're gonna. That's kind of like a side project, the Huaracha thing. But for me right now, it's just making great music, man. Just like anything if I feel it, then I'll put it out. You know.
Freaking awesome. I want to invite everyone to check out the Spotify link when they get a chance. Check out the new track.
Yep.
Check out all of his tracks on Spotify. He's got awesome stuff. And now that we talked about, kind of pivoted to the COVID stuff. So as a working DJ, I mean, how are you getting along in this new dystopian future that we live in now? I mean,
it's like when COVID hit, I needed a break. I had been going for years, for years, dude, like nonstop, like every weekend.
Interesting how God works.
It was very interesting because like I was doing full days in the studio.
Wow.
And like at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. to like 5 in the morning, and then all over again. And then like Thursday would hit, I'd go out. Friday would hit, I'd go out, play, come back. And it was just this never-ending cycle of I'm always tired, you know? I have 3 kids. My youngest one is 2. So with the other ones, it was like I was always leaving to the club. I was always doing stuff. So I never really got to experience, like I got to experience their childhood, but not like I am right now with my baby. And, they always understood that. And when COVID hit, like obviously like all of us, it was like, what am I going to do now? I was a full-time DJ. So like my income just went from normal to zero in like a split second, like everybody is, and the venue I work with was actually kind enough to say, hey man, like this is what the rest of the month look like. And here's the rest of the month, and take care of yourself. So I'm very grateful for Nacional 27 for doing that. As well as the funny thing is like I had started doing drops, like DJ drops, right before, like maybe a week or two before this happened, because I wanted to up my studio and get extra money for the studio. And right before I did that, like a drop started coming in every week. So I haven't stopped doing drops all year.
Oh, wow. I always get I'm glad that you do that, because now I'm just going to refer them to you.
Yeah, send them over.
They always ask me, I need DJ drops. I'm like, oh, man, I'm at DJ X in Chicago, baby.
Yeah, man. So I was doing drops, and obviously that wouldn't supplement what I would make at a nightclub, especially where I was at. And before that, I had a great deal set up because Nacional was going to close anyway. And, excuse me. It's okay. And I was going to go to another place where the pay was going to be doubled what I used to get. So COVID hit, that immediately went shut down. And I just decided, like, let's see what happens. And, I kind of waited, man. I have my company, so I applied for, like, the SBA loans and all that stuff to try to kind of make do with what I had. I canceled all the events. All the events I had for this year were canceled except for one that I just did this past weekend. I mean, there was 1 or 2 days where at the beginning I was like, man, what's gonna happen? You know, like what am I gonna do? And then I fixed everything around my house that needed to be fixed. I was doing lives for a bit, but then Facebook and Instagram started cracking down a little more, and then I just did not, for me personally, I gotta give it up to all the DJs doing it right now. The lives are dope. You know, they're great. Like, you know, opportunities like this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that. But the DJs that are doing it are great. But I just didn't feel like it was for me. I felt like if I spend more time finishing these projects, I'd be in every live. You know, I'd be
Right.
in all the lives
There you
if I
go.
had
That's a
something
good.
hot.
That's think about it. Yeah. Like,
So I started working on finishing projects, finishing things, and then you know, just kind of stayed, you know, like not spending money and stuff like that. I had some savings, which I definitely touched that I didn't want to touch for years, you know. And I'm still working on certain little things here and there. I did sign a couple of remixes, like I had mentioned before, which was kind of like weird. Um, and then I don't know, man. Like I took a break, like a 2 month break, where I just didn't do anything DJ related. Um, and like I was like, man, like I really enjoy being in the studio. So I've kind of made up my mind, and I never announced it or told anyone or anything like that. But I think I'm gonna do a year when we go back, or a year and a half, and no more DJ stuff, and just produce. And if I do DJ, it would be my own stuff. So as opposed to doing the nightclub circuits and stuff like that, I would be doing festivals and just, I'm kind of like, everybody has these goals, right? That they got to hit. And for all of us, I think they were like a club, radio, another radio station, it. So for me, my next goal is a little gramophone about this big, little gold gramophone. That's my next goal. So
nice, man. That's a good goal to have, man. That's a great goal to have.
yeah,
And
so I gotta like devote my entire days and nights to producing. And it's funny, I say days and nights, but I actually mean days, because you know, I've experienced how important it is to sleep right now. Um, and I can't stress that enough. Like I flip my schedule from nights to days, and I go to sleep at a decent time and wake up in the mornings, and I just feel more productive. And that's it, man. I've stayed positive throughout these entire time. I've spoken to other DJs that have been affected by it. I think mentally we all were affected by it. I think we were all like kind of given a new perspective on what we were doing and if it was doing well or not, and to be honest with ourselves and say, this is what I got to improve on. This is what I got to do right next time. And now every time you're in front of a crowd, you got to cherish that, you know? Like,
yeah,
you gotta,
absolutely, absolutely.
this may end tomorrow. And I know as a DJ, you might have, I know I did. We always said, like, if this were to end tomorrow, but never did we think it was going to
Yeah,
overnight.
yeah, we did it. I think it also goes the other way around too for the fans, the people who like to go party and appreciate listening to a DJ. You know.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Um,
like right now, there's no live stuff happening. I played a club here in Chicago, and it was good, but it was weird. Um,
right.
and you know, and then there's just so much time, I feel like, for DJs to do other stuff other than DJing. Like there's nothing wrong with like not DJing right now, if that makes any sense. Like there's a lot of guys on Twitch, you know, and I've been asked like why don't you go to Twitch? And I'm like,
Right.
I feel like at some point, I know that Twitch has a deal with the labels and they're doing better and they're working it out. But I feel like when we go back to normal and everybody leaves back to the clubs and back to their run around of the life, not a lot of people may have time for Twitch. And I feel like Twitch is like a community for DJs. Does that make sense? Like, because there's so many different guys that do different things. There's like your turntablists, there's your DJs who love to just DJ, and then there's producers. But I feel like in this pandemic, like you don't have to do any of that if you're not feeling it. I think that you have to take care of yourself first as a person, and then like see what you're gonna do, you know. And there's no shame in like having a day job or like taking up a part time or something. Like you just got to do what you got to do to make sure you're good. And I think that like I've always known, like the music will always be there, like always, you know. So when you go back, you're good to go. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's great advice from a veteran in the game. I appreciate you, man, coming on and talking to me, man, here, and for my first podcast in a while, man. I've been kind of depressed and I haven't been able to get out of my funk, you know. So I'm glad
Yeah, no,
to
man.
break that with you today.
I think one of the things that people forget, like, and I used to experience this, dude. Like whenever I was like in front of like 1,000, 2,000 people a night, and then be in a hotel room by myself, you know, like people forget that that you're human, you know, that you need like a break, or you know, I'm not sure if you have any hobbies, you know, but whatever your hobbies are, like you can take a week off, you can take 2 weeks off, and like I feel like sometimes we're chasing the coin, you know, as DJs, as producers, as whatever. But I feel like I know that I'm more productive when I'm centered, you know, with my family, with my things, with my music, with and dude, inspiration comes out of left field sometimes. You know, you just like you hear one song and you're like, I'm gonna do this, and that, and that's how I feel like a lot of DJs were being told, you know, like you have to stay productive. If you didn't do nothing between this 7 months, then you bluff. And it's like, nah, man, like you got to look at your own situation. You got to look at what you're doing, and you got to take care of yourself first, and then you can, you know, do whatever. And you know, DJing will never be the same ever again. You know, I know a lot of guys that have quit completely. They're done. I'm going to step aside from the everyday grind, if that makes any sense, of DJing, only because, like I said, I feel like I I don't feel like I know I have a better shot at making that track that's going to be in everybody's sets, and that just multiplies my show, you know, into like radio streams and all these other things. So I'm making the transition from DJ to artist as we speak, and it's going to be tough, man. But I think that's the next step in my career, and I think as DJs, this was a great lesson to say, don't just stay in the same place. Like, just keep pushing for better, bigger, better, and never sell yourself short, man. Like, you are the talent at a nightclub, and if a nightclub owner doesn't want to pay you what you want, then you just got to become that good so that they do pay you what you want. And at the end of the day, you know, you got to save your coin. You can't just be, you know, kind of all over the place with that, because if something like this happens again, which is very likely, you know,
Right. Yeah.
you definitely want to be able to not look back and get down on yourself, because like I said, man, like we are the party. Like we bring it to these clubs. Like the club I was supposed to be at, you know, closed down, and it was supposed to close, but I get lots of messages every week, man. Like, when are you guys coming back? Are you coming back? You know, and I, like, whenever I go live for myself. You know, I'm not worried about going live and I don't know, creating a whole thing. Like, I just do it for me. You know, I do it now. I'm doing it because I have music I have to put out. but
Well, yeah.
but I mean, I
It's
like it. It's just like, it gets you down sometimes with like the tech stuff. And yeah, you can work those kinks out, but I get it. I get what Twitch is about. I get that it helps a lot of guys out. I have one of my friends that's on there, Audio One, and he's doing great. He's on there all the time. But that's the thing, man. Like, you're on there all the time, you know?
you got to commit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that committed. I do it like 3 times a week, maybe twice a week, and
But
just an
that's
hour. You know?
that's more than what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's
I said,
just-
I do an hour, but I'm like I want to bring you something different. You know, I don't want to go in there and then like play, I don't know, Caramelo, and then the next four guys on the next live stream are playing Caramelo. And so I try to like switch things up, and then like there's been 80s, 90s. Like I just feel like it's like a rotating bar. It's like a rotating bar gig, you know? And it's just like I want to bring something good. So what I found out is that people still support me on my Instagram. And they, you know, they're really, really cool with what I'm doing, you know, like this interview. Like I really appreciate the time that you've given me to share my stories. And it helps, you know, it's content, because some people are still home. I know I'm in Chicago, and there's still a lot of people home. And there's people that definitely want to listen to your mixes or whatever. So if you can create, but if you don't feel like it, you don't have to, you know what I mean? Because like, who's waiting for you? You know what I mean? When this is all over, we're gonna get slammed clubs no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, you know, and there's enough room at the table for everybody to eat. I know guys right now that are doing Zoom parties. They're DJing Zoom parties from home.
Wow.
And they're making money. So it's just commitment, you know, commitment to do that stuff. And I know guys that are going back to clubs with minimum capacity. But once again, it's commitment. I have 3 kids at home, and I'm not leaving my house unless it's for the right amount of money.
Right. No, that's awesome, man. Shout out to Maria. Thank you for hanging out with us, Maria. Thank you so much for hanging out. I know you like to get your exercise in. So I want to share what's important for all those producers who spend 10 hours a day sitting in their chair and not being active.
Yeah, man. Make yourself
exercises, man.
Well, I right now I'm not on any workout routines. I used to be on like Insanity, a while back, and like the old school Insanity, because it's just words. It's just, you know. But I think eating, man, like eating right is huge, especially if we're home right now. Mm-hmm. Like just eating stuff that's not processed is good. Lots of water. And as a producer, I always make myself get up every now and then and take breaks. I think when you take breaks is like the best thing that you can do. Sometimes I'll go upstairs because I'm downstairs in the basement in my studio. My studio's downstairs in the basement. But sometimes I'll go upstairs for water. So I'll make sure I run out of water, so I have to get up and go upstairs. You know?
That's a good tactic. Yeah, that's great.
And so, yeah, man, like there's that, and then just like staying away from all the snacks. And
that's
that,
the hard part, right?
it is, man. But like I said, when you're sleeping right, and I know a lot of DJs don't, because it's just like ingrained in us, you know. Just
emphasize that a lot more. There's a lot of DJs that burn the candles on both ends, and then are realizing how much damage they're doing to their body. You know,
yeah, man. I do so many. So when I decided that I was going to become an artist, right, a producer, like right now I don't have my glasses, but I went like full blue light glasses, you know, like at least a gallon of water a day, flip the schedule from nights to days. I mean, sometimes I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm working, and then, you know, rest, man, take some time off. If you have a pool, if you have a yard, if you have like, just go out, get some fresh air, you know. I think more than being fit, that helps. Obviously, if you run, do your runs, do all that. Like my wife goes on bike rides, and I'll go with them every now and then, not every time, but yeah, man, like right now is not a good time to be sitting and eating all kinds of crazy shit. Unless you're like 21 to 25, you're good to go. You know?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's the slippery slope down to when you're 40 and you're like, oh man, what did I do to myself?
Yeah, I'm 35, man, and I'm just like, it's funny because there was 2 years ago, I love bullfighting. Like bullfighting's been in my family and for years, and like if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that. But so I want to be a torero when I was a kid, you know, and I was like young, and I ordered a suit for Halloween once, and those things are pretty expensive, like $1,300, you know.
Wow.
And so I got it, and when I got it, it didn't fit. Like it was like up to my knees, and I was like, whoa. And my wife was like, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but you better get your ass in that by Halloween.
You can do it,
So,
baby.
so you know what I did? I cut red meat
Okay, that's
like
a good.
completely.
Yeah,
Like,
that's awesome.
and I lost like 22 pounds, basically 22 pounds in a month, which was crazy. And it was water, lot like high impact workouts, which is like insanity,
Hmm.
and then like no meat. It was just I would have fish every now and then, and I got to tell you, man, like that was probably the best. The best. I did that for like 3 months, and that was probably the best time that I felt fit. I felt great. I felt alert. The only thing that would kill me is like the sleep, because I wasn't like I wasn't sleeping properly, and without the right nutrition, like without the right fats in your system, then you start to feel weird. But I did it. I just couldn't go back because like once you start eating meat again, it's like you smell it and you're like, oh my God, and,
Yeah.
and my wife would make some great, like my wife cooks amazing. So I'm like, man, like I don't want to have spinach today. Like I want to have steak,
Yeah.
And then in the summer you smell cookouts and it's just
Hmm.
like,
It's a struggle, man. It's a struggle.
dude, it's
It's a
hard.
struggle.
But
The DJ life is
you
a
wanna-
struggle. Period.
if you want it, yeah. And I did that for like to get in the suit. But then after that, like I remember going to the Latin Grammys. And like I remember everybody saying like, "Man, you lost a lot of weight," and I was like, "Oh man, like that means I wasn't doing so good, But as a DJ, you know how it is, man. You finish
Yeah.
a gig, you finish a gig, and you got your spot where you're gonna go hit afterwards.
Sometimes, yeah.
You eat and you go to bed.
Yep. It's not a good combination.
I mean, but it feels great though.
Yeah, it feels great.
We have White Castle out here. We used to do that, and that was
Crystal ends bad for you all the time.
like it's not that great, man.
Oh man, I'm such a bigger fan of you now that I had a chance to have you on the show, brother.
Thank
And
you,
I
man.
appreciate you taking the time out and talking to me here on the podcast. I'm gonna put all your socials and everything on the info if anybody's watching this after the live or hearing the audio version of this, but just drop all the socials and everything where they can follow you and all that good stuff.
So I just saw that you have DJ X, but it's DJ-X. You're good though. Don't worry about it.
I gotta fix it. That's my
I got to re-record the whole thing. No,
I'm just kidding.
so no, but no, it's at DJ X Chicago on all the socials. I think that's what I'm at. I don't think I have a different one. It's DJ X Chicago on Twitter, which I'm never on unless I want to get mad at someone. I'm on Instagram. I live on Instagram just because like all my stuff is in there. Everything's kind of connected through there. So at DJ X Chicago, you can find me at DJ X Chicago as well on Facebook. And then TikTok is the same thing. I'm never really on TikTok. I think that's going to end up dying out pretty soon because of restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, like Instagram, I'm not on Snapchat. I feel like that was a dying.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm on Mixcloud, same thing, DJ X Chicago, and SoundCloud, same thing, DJ X Chicago. But I'll definitely be putting up some freebies like on Mondays. I usually like to put free music Mondays.
Nice.
This week I didn't do it because like we had a day off, and I just kind of started everything yesterday. But yeah, there's going to be some freebies coming up, like for the Mexican Independence, which is next week. Well, so I have a live that I do, that I'm going to do, I should say. I'm going to drop a freebie on Monday because I have a bunch of, I think I sent you my Mexican remixes that I had done.
Yes.
And so like I'll be putting those up just kind of like for DJs to kind of go through if they haven't grabbed them. And then that's pretty much it, man. Those are the socials and, 4F Music and DJ-X on Spotify.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on my podcast. And
No problem.
and brother, much success, man, in the future, my friend. And go if you haven't done it yet and you like house music and you like that guaracha sound, go listen to La Rumba right now. It's on everywhere, worth a damn, that you can listen to music at, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I'll see
Have
you,
a good
brother.
one, man. Take care.
You too.